I normally wouldn't make this kind of video, but I'll have to make an exception. Because someone has been making content that's been promoting lots of serious crimes in the worst possible way. And that someone has got to be one of the worst GoAnimators I've ever come across. That user's name is Fernando The GoAnimator. So for today's video, Raven and I will be ranting on this user and giving out a bunch of reasons why he shouldn't be trusted. And for those of you who like Fernando, while I understand how much respect you have for him, I would suggest thinking over whether or not you should continue to trust him. And as long as no one targets me or anyone else over this rant, things shouldn't be going south from there. And with that, let's get started. The first reason why Fernando the GoAnimator shouldn't be trusted is because ever since he began using his YouTube channel, he's been making graphically violent and abusive videos out of Caillou, Dora, Little Bill, the Little Einsteins, Dave Johnson aka The Childish Dad, and Big Baby Tom aka Thomas New. Despite the fact that I don't like Big Baby Tom because he's been disrespectful to his mother Lucy and his younger half-siblings Eric and Kaylee, throwing tantrums and pooping his pants at home and in public, and obsessing over baby shows, Fernando took him too seriously and Flanderized the rest of the new family. Number 2. He promotes serious crimes such as child abuse, domestic abuse, terrorism, illegal deportation, police corruption, child endangerment, ageism, ableism, forgery, murder, criminal abetting, and mariticide. And to prove my point, I have a few screenshots of one of his videos that shows signs of evidence of illegal deportation. But be warned.
What you are about to see tonight may shock, appall, and scare the daylights out of you! That being said...
Here's the evidence right now. These 2 screenshots I took were of the very first video I ever saw that was created by Fernando himself. That video is called Childish Dad Gets Deported to Guantanamo Bay/escapes/grounded/executed. And from what I heard, this video ended with a corrupt version of Brooklyn T guy and another corrupt officer with the top hat voice executing Fernando's version of Dave by crushing his organs with a hydraulic press, which is not only police brutality, but also one of the most gruesome murders I've ever seen.
Hey! You big dumb childish dad fan brat. When are you gonna get it through that thick skull of yours that it's not that hard not to watch my content if you don't like it? I don't care what you think of my videos. So stop bothering me or else I'll deport you to Guantanamo Bay along with my version of Childish Dad too.
Shut up!
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Steven, stop, calm down. It's not worth it. Stand down.
I'm sorry, Raven. I normally wouldn't lose my temper like this. It's just that what Fernando just did was completely unacceptable. As for you, Fernando, you may have control over your own channel, but that's no excuse for you to make that sort of content. And considering the fact that deporting someone who was born and raised in the United States to another country is wrong, as well as killing Dave the way you did, you crossed a line. There are rules on YouTube that don't allow any crimes to be promoted, and for all I know, you could end up getting 3 community guideline strikes, or worse, terminated. And the first moment I confronted you about that video, you didn't take into consideration how wrong it is to treat your version of Dave Johnson that badly. You just brushed it off like it's no big deal. Speaking of which, this is the third reason why he shouldn't be trusted. He's got no respect for anyone who hates his content in spite of the crimes that were committed in his videos, no matter whose side the characters are on in his channel. And he couldn't see any of the flaws in his content no matter who points them out to him. That means he has a disrespectful backward opinion about his haters, even the ones who are the most rational, like me. Number 4. He supports criminal scum like Rambasem and the Redneck Viander, formerly known as Papaluigi99. And is known by those of you who saw my video on Rambasem's version of the Johnson family. Said GoAnimator has also been making domestically abusive videos out of his version of the Childish Dad himself, just like the videos made by Planet Edge aka Mixed Up Limited, formerly known as Mixed Up Grounded series. That makes Rambasem a bad influence to Fernando himself. Number 5. Just like he did to his version of Dave Johnson in his very first Q&A 2000 subscriber special, he threatened to send a real-life baseball player to Guantanamo Bay over a devastating loss at a baseball game. The baseball player's name is Mark DeRosa. That also makes him a hypocrite because he crashed out over that outcome, making him the new definition of the aim at your man-child he hated about the Childish Dad himself. Number 6. He also supports 2 dangerous real-life criminals named Maduro and Jeffrey Epstein. And the evidence of his support of Jeffrey Epstein is in his Thanksgiving special from last year. As a punishment for ruining Thanksgiving, Fernando got Dave and Big Baby Tom sent to Epstein Island where they would get abused by the owner of the private island territory himself, which is not only a serious crime, but also a paradox because Jeffrey Epstein died in prison in 2019.
Yeah, Fernando, shame on you. Jeffrey Epstein was a convicted sex offender who got arrested for abusing and trafficking innocent girls to use as slaves. And you saw fit to somehow use rapper logic to bring that psycho back to life just to punish your versions of Dave Johnson and Big Baby Tom. Are you out of your mind?
Liars. I don't support Maduro or Jeffrey Epstein. You're just taking my content too seriously. So stop running your mouths and wasting my time.
You're the one who's running your mouth if you think you can get away with your actions. Sooner or later, karma's gonna hit you right in the butt and you won't seem to care about it until it's too late. Another reason why he shouldn't be trusted is based on these 3 screenshots of a crossover video he made out of the Johnsons and Mystery Inc. When Dave threw a temper tantrum in his family's garage, his son Brian swung him out of the house with a baseball bat, sending him flying all the way to Mystery Inc.'s house and causing him to crash their TV. As a result, Scooby-Doo and his friends allowed Fred to give Dave a concussion, thinking that he was trespassing on purpose, which then caused him to get sent back home, only to get grounded and sent back into the garage by Catherine, who claimed that he escaped the house while disregarding what their son did earlier. And after when Dave stole the mystery machine and grounded into his family's house as revenge on both them and Mystery Inc., he got arrested and sent to jail in the Bronx, which presumably ended with Dave getting tortured by the old man in his cell, whom I don't know the name of. And back to the situation about his support for Maduro and Jeffrey Epstein. From what I heard, Fernando created a video where his versions have Dave and Big Baby Tom forged their families' names into the recently released Epstein files. And as a result, Dave and Tom got sent to Venezuela to get enslaved by cartel lords. And finally, number 8. Like Semster 5677, Fernando turned Fred Jones of the Mystery Inc. gang into an underage drinker and selfish and crazy concussion beast. And there was one other thing I forgot to mention in regards to the child abuse and endangerment crimes he promoted. When the little Einsteins won a free cruise, their abusive guardians planned to have the captain send the 4 kids to the engine room throughout the entire trip. Fernando's version of the Anderson family even did the same thing to his version of Caillou. And as payback for doing so, the 5 kids hijacked the ship and crashed it into a rock as a reenactment to the Titanic. As a result, they got sent to a black hole as a punishment, resulting in their immediate death. So to anyone who still trusts Fernando the GoAnimator, I recommend that you guys cut ties with him immediately. Because this guy right here is a menace to society, thinking it's okay to make content that promotes crimes like that. And Fernando, I hope this rant teaches you a lesson for all the stuff you did. Because if not, then your entire channel will be reported once again for every single reason that was ever listed on YouTube.
This ain't over. Steven the GoAnimator 1998 and Raven Crow. You two and Eddie VC have been on my case and you will all be reported for cyberbullying and harassment. Just you wait.
You're not as clever as you think you are, Fernando. If you so much as think you can get away with making abusive content out of all those fictional characters that I just listed without being noticed, the FBI will eventually find out and be on you like a dog on a rotten steak. Now get the heck out of here, you rage-banging criminal suburban lowlife! Ugh.
I'm sorry you guys had to see that. But it had to be done.
Yeah man, you nearly scared me half to death on that one, Steven.
Yeah, you're right, Raven. Anyway, that's it for my very first rant, folks. Enough said.